Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Brian Scacco. I am the director of the Down Syndrome Program at Massachusetts General Hospital, and I'm so excited to be joined by my good friend, Leslie Walker Hirsch. Many of you already know she is an internationally recognized educational consultant who specializes in social and sexual development in people with intellectual disabilities. Leslie, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I really appreciate it.
I am so glad to see you electronically or any other way, and happy to have a chance to speak with the Massachusetts Down syndrome families.
Thank you so much, Leslie. You know, these are such uncertain times. Coronavirus is a very scary time for so many of our families. Now that the curves are starting to be flattened, I'm hearing from so many families who are saying, how do we safely start to let our loved ones with Down syndrome and other intellectual disabilities re-enter into their communities? And I've been thinking so much about how I could give practical solutions, and I immediately thought of you, and I asked if you would talk with me a bit to educate some of our families, because you are the co-creators of the Circles curriculum. And for those people who aren't familiar with that, do you mind saying a little bit about what the Circles curriculum is?
I'm glad you asked. The Circles curriculum is in its 7th iteration, which means it's been updated and revised many, many times, and in keeping with the technology and with the social mores of the times. And so it is a curriculum that's multimedia and also many other special education, interactive kinds of teaching strategies to work with people who have significant learning differences and are concrete learners. So it helps people to understand the social distance that are associated along the parameters of touch, talk, and trust. How much touch, what kind of talking, and how much trust, and with whom. So the way that you touch, talk, or trust another person depends on the kind of relationship that you have with them. And although everybody has different people in the relationships, we all have a group of types. We have very close family people that we love dearly and who love us back. We have people we know a little bit and are friends. We have people that we recognize their faces. We know some kids that we don't really interact with much except to maybe wave and smile. And there are a lot of people, most of the people, in fact, in the whole world who are strangers. And we don't touch, talk, or trust strangers except for those who are community helpers. And we touch, talk, or trust them as pertains to the kind of service that they offer us and for our health and well-being. So these are color-coded because we know that when you take a color and pair it with a particular activity or behavior, that's a way that people are able to remember it. We also have in the Circles curriculum, they are all live action videos, and the lighted visual image is the lighted visual moving image is the most attention holding of all the different visual media. So we use that. We have role play suggestions, and a life-size role play floor mat with the Circles graphic on it, so people can actually practice how close is close and how far away is a wave. And in this day and age, even though we have a handshake circle, it indicates a kind of relationship as opposed to actually touching in the era of COVID-19. So we're suggesting that, at least for now, a virtual handshake, and by now everybody knows what virtual means, and here we are virtually talking. So a virtual handshake that doesn't actually touch the other person, or a virtual fist bump, or a virtual high five. Again, we've all had to adapt in some way. And of course, we also suggest in the faraway hug circle that this be a hug with no touching, but the indicator that you are a friend or a relative. And we are hoping that this will keep people safe. On the other hand, things are changing every other minute, it seems, with new criteria and new guidelines. We are believing that every school district is going to have their own guidelines for their teachers and touching and students, and their own safety precautions that line up with the governmental entity that they live in, whether it's a town or a city or a county. And so we're hoping that they will be able to enforce those and that people will respect them and teach their students. I also wanted to say that when students understand the reason for something, they're more likely to be compliant. So this is a good opportunity for teachers to teach about how contagion happens and what communicable diseases can transfer from one person to another under casual contact, like a handshake or a sneeze or sharing a pencil or crayons or a marker. And those are important things for teachers to do. And if they respect the boundaries outlined in the Circles curriculum, they can apply that as well.
Leslie, I've always loved your Circles curriculum because it is so visual. And, you know, people with Down syndrome and other intellectual disabilities are visual learners. So I think it really appeals to them. And so many schools in Massachusetts were already using the curriculum. And so many of the families that we see in our clinic use the curriculum. I was really excited when you came out with an app version of this curriculum. And I was wondering if you might be able to tell everyone a little bit about how this app works and how it is an add-on, if you will, to your curriculum.
Well, we're going to rely on technology a lot here to do this. So I asked James Stanfield Company to make a preview of the Circles app that he said it would be fine to show you. So I'm going to, let's see if we can do that. I'm going to share my screen. And then I'm going to, is it being shared now? There we go. And now I'm going to play this on my screen.
Perfect.
Okay, where is it now? Okay.
And if you just, yep.
Oh, don't even joke about this.
I think if you scroll up to the blackness, it might. Let's see if you, there it is.
Where is it?
You just have to hover over the black at the bottom to the left and then click on the start. There you go.
Hello, I'm Leslie
Here we go.
Walker Hirsch. And I'm Marklyn Champagne. We are the co-creators of the Circles curriculum series. That is produced and distributed by the James Stanfield Company. Today, we are here to introduce you to the app for iPad and tablets, the Circles app for iPad and tablets. It is a fun way to use technology to teach social skills and self-protection skills to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We want to demonstrate this fun learning tool that individuals can use independently or with a coach to support the Circles concepts learned previously. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the world of Circles. This colorful map around me is the Circles graph. I'm going to use it to show you that how close you are with other people and how you touch them depends on the kind of relationship you have with them. For example, I can give my mom big, close hugs, but I never touch a complete stranger or let them touch me.
Circles conversation every day to know our boundaries and to find our way. Circles help us with the ones we love and with the people that we might discover. Circles, they help you find your way.
Think of the graph as a map of your world and where the people in your world fit in, close to you or far away. Let's get started.
We hope you enjoyed watching this demonstration of the Circles app for iPad and tablets.
For more information, you can contact either of us online or go to stanfield.com regarding any of the Circles materials.
Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye. Okay, I'm back to the
Oh,
screen.
well done, Leslie. Thank you so much for sharing that preview. And again, I think it speaks to the visual elements. So for those families that have used the app, they know that as people get to the yellow, green, and blue, it's a little bit of more socialness and closeness. But now we're in COVID days, and people we might have been able to hug or might have been able to get close to, we're not able to. And I was wondering, what would be your recommendations to people with Down syndrome or to the families? Is it that we need to reclassify those people from green and yellow maybe to orange right now during the time frame?
I would prefer that virtual or pretend handshake or pretend hug. That's the sign for the circles, and kids would already know it if they've been taking circles, or the handshake or the fist bump that doesn't quite touch, but that's the 6 feet recommended away. Again, these are strange times we're living in. We've never been here before. But I also find, strangely, that the young people with or without disabilities catch on to using the app, to taking a photo of themselves or a close family member or a friend and putting it into the circle that's appropriate. So
I love it. I've had so many of my patients who have used the app, and before they go to a birthday party or they're going to an event, they will take pictures or they have pictures and they will review that with their family on what colored friend is this to remind them of those rules. And I was just thinking, as people with Down syndrome re-enter into their communities, how great this app will be to perhaps review it with their sons and daughters and to say, now, what are the social rules and boundaries, if you will, especially during these COVID re-entry days?
and those rehearsal strategies are so important. And every time you rehearse it one more time, it becomes more embedded and becomes more habituated to you. And that's really what we're hoping for, because you know, when those very scary decisions have to be made by an individual with a disability, they have to own all of those concepts about how to touch and what kind of touch to expect from others and who to trust and how much. And so that is what we want for them to internalize all of that information and have it be part of them, even if there's no policeman or mama there doing the finger wagging. So rehearsing it is so important. And we have incorporated many, many different kinds of learning repetitions under different circumstances into the Major Circles program, which the app supports. It isn't the whole ball of wax, but it is a good beginning to it.
Leslie, let me just ask you the central question families ask me, but my son or daughter is a hugger. No matter what I try to do, they just love and they want to hug everyone. How am I going to let them out of the house to re-engage post-COVID? What would be your advice to those families?
My advice is practice, practice, practice. It's the same way you get to Carnegie Hall, you know. You have people in your household or in your neighborhood or close friends who you can ask to participate and say, we want to teach Mary or John how to greet people. And so can you knock on the door, because we want to practice with you. So we want to practice that instead of hugging you, you'll extend your hand, and although we won't touch your hand, you'll do a handshake, and we'll rehearse with John or Mary prior to your arrival. Let me know when you're coming, and enlist the help of the people around you, because they care about you. And you know, it takes a village to raise a child, any child, and maybe it certainly takes a village to raise a child with Down syndrome in a safe and respectful way.
And speaking of that village, people with Down syndrome, like everyone, might be going back to schools in the fall. For those schools that are using the Circles curriculum, I would imagine it would be important for families to talk with their teachers and make sure that it's consistent and that it's up to date and it's incorporating what the family views as good COVID practices in there. Do you have advice for families trying to integrate with schools who are using the curriculum?
Well, I know that Stanfield and Markland, Champaign, and myself, we are planning to send out kind of COVID adapted rules for Circles. And as soon as I have that finalized, I will be sure to send you one. And I know you will distribute it to all concerned parties because you're such a good guy.
Well, thank you. We will certainly get that information out. And I want to make sure people know where to get the Circles app to begin with. They could, of course, go to this webpage, circlesapp.com, and to be able to download it. Again, it's something that we have all reviewed in our Down syndrome program at MGH. I know so many families have been able to benefit from it as an educational exercise. And like Leslie said, this is just one small part of the bigger curriculum. And for those people who want to learn more about the larger Circles curriculum, Leslie, they could go to your website, right? Which I pulled up here, that's packed with goodies and information.
They can, and I'd like to also say that I put out a quarterly newsletter, and Brian has been one of my interview subjects. Dr. Scotko, I'm sorry.
Right.
So anyone who sees this is welcome to become a subscriber to that newsletter. There's no charge for it, and it comes out about every 3 months. And I have different guest interviewees about many different aspects of social and sexual development of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And to sign up for that, if you go to my website, you'll see right there's the purple sign up button. Just click on that and it'll ask your name. You don't have to give your whole name. I just ask for a first name, and it will start coming to you as soon as possible. So that would be lovely to have all of the Massachusetts contingent be subscribers. I'd be happy to have that.
Thank you, Leslie. And I also know that you're available to do phone and Skype consultations for those families that might ask for a little bit more of a personalized approach. Can you say a little bit more about how they should get in touch with you if they're interested?
Yes, of course. If you send an email to me, Leslie at Leslie Walker, then a hyphen, Hirsch, HIRSCH.com, with a little brief message about, I heard you talking to Dr. Scotko, and I have a child, and then tell me what your motivation is in calling. And people are very shocked when I email them right back the same day. I always mail everybody back the same day. Sometimes I can't help you that very day, but I can arrange to help you in the future. And I never let anybody go without being responded to. So feel free to contact me.
Great,
But
and
if
everyone
you
can
just
see
say,
that.
if you just say, I want to be friends with you on Facebook, I probably won't answer you because I get some cranks sometimes. And unless I get a letter that is personally oriented, I don't connect with someone. I hope you understand.
I certainly do, and they do as well. And here on the screen, we have pulled up your email and your information on your website. And again, people can find that by going to lesliewalker-hirsch.com. Leslie, I want to thank you so much. I have learned so much from you over the many years that we have been colleagues and friends, and today is no exception. Thank you for sharing your information so that families could adapt it to their loved ones with Down syndrome during these times. And I hope that we'll all be able to see each other again in person. But until then, I hope everyone stays well and stays healthy. Thank you for joining, Leslie.
Thank you for having me, and so long to all of you. And Brian, here's a COVID hug for you.
Thanks, Leslie.
Bye-bye now.